Ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Seattle Mariners have won a series. It has finally happened. The Mariners defeat the Reds 3-1 to get their first series win of the year. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post game recap. Mariners finished this one off 3-1. They improved to 8-10 on the year. Like I said, it's their first series win of the year, and a lot to talk about in this game for a 3-1 game that doesn't have a lot of runs scored. I think there's a ton to talk about. Mariners now just a game out of first place. We're going to talk about that. But before I dive into it, do me a favor, hit the like button. It helps out tremendously. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you are new. I've just passed 3,000 subs. Thank you so much, guys and gals. I truly appreciate the support. Love doing these post-game recaps, and I hope you guys and gals are enjoying them as much as I enjoy making them. So the Mariners win it tonight 3-1. Outstanding pitching from Logan Gilbert, who is, I follow baseball, but I can't tell you everybody's numbers outside of the Mariners. But I think it'd be hard pressed to find a better pitcher so far this year than Logan Gilbert. I couldn't believe that was his first win of the year. Listen, I know wins is not a stat we use to evaluate pitchers. I don't use it to evaluate them, but it does matter, right? Like, one, you need wins to get into the playoffs. And I think the pitchers care. I think they want to get the W. So blows me away that was Logan Gilbert's first win of the year. Like I said, through April so far, if there's a better pitcher, I'm willing to listen, but I don't know if there has been one better. And Logan Gilbert's absolutely been the ace of this staff so far through April. Still believing, that Kirby and Castillo are going to be great as well. And Logan will have moments where he's not on his game. But so far this year, a Cy Young level performance from Logan Gilbert. A little bit of drama in the ninth inning there with a couple walks, an error by Ty France. Stanek, I thought, almost tagged Jake Fraley, but I don't think there was enough evidence to overturn it there. Then the bases are loaded. Taylor Saucedo comes in and finishes it off. We get outstanding defense tonight from Julio Rodriguez. He makes that running catch on that, as Dave Sims put it, that 5-iron off the bat of Spencer Steer in the seventh inning. And then throwing out Ellie De La Cruz, which, that alone is a tremendous thing to do. But Julio's dart to third base nabs De La Cruz, and he does it before Jake Fraley touches home. Great tag by Rojas as well. So we had outstanding defense from Julio. And I actually thought the offense was pretty good. Yes, they're still kind of missing that ball in the gap, to really bust a game open. I know they did last night, but the at-bats are much better. They're just, now they've got to finish, right? Earlier in the year, they weren't even getting on base, right? It was just awful. Now they're getting there. They're close. Now someone's going to kind of finish it off and get these guys home. Not terrible. Mitch Haniger had the big RBI. Clase gets the double, and I'm going to go into all of it. And Mitch Garver with the walk, and that's great. But still, like, one hit away from really making it so that ninth inning is a little less stress-free, for lack of a better term. So, but much better at bats. I've been much happier in the last week or so with how they're playing. And truthfully, not truthful, of course it's truthfully, but kind of surprisingly, the Mariners are 4-2 in their last 6 games. They win the first 2 against the Reds, lost 2 against the Cubs, won the first one against the Cubs, and won the last one against the Blue Jays. So very quietly, the Mariners are starting to play pretty good baseball. And in that span, let's see, they've outscored their opponents by 5, 7, 4, 3, 6, 9, I think by 11 runs over that period. So this team is starting to play pretty good baseball. You're getting outstanding starting pitching, which we figured this team would have. And the offense is starting to come on a little bit, right? Like, they're getting on base. They're wearing out starting pitchers. They did it tonight to Hunter Green. Again, like I said, still kind of missing that big hit, but they're playing better baseball the last week or so, and finally get rewarded with the series win. And they're a game out of first place. Now, should we be looking at the standings on April 16th? No. And I'm not bringing that up to say that, hey, look at this, we're only a game out. It doesn't really mean anything at this point. But it is important to remember it, because despite this team's 8-10 start, despite some of our frustrations, which I think are still absolutely valid, this team's 2 games under 500. That's not where we want them to be. But nobody in this division has taken off, thank goodness. We've seen it. We've seen years where there's a team that's like 14-4 or something like that, that just darts out in first place. Now, if that were like the Angels or the A's doing that, I wouldn't be too concerned. But if Texas or Houston were to have started like that, you would have yourself in a hole. Trying to make up 5.5, 6 games on Texas and Houston would not be an easy task to do. Doesn't mean to be insurmountable, but it would be tough. Especially this early, you'd have time being this early in the year, but it wouldn't be nothing. It would definitely have to be something to have to battle for. But luckily, that hasn't happened. I joked, not joked, but I did kind of to take a deep breath after the Cubs series. I did say, like, listen, it's not completely crazy that the Mariners could be in first place after the Reds series. And if they can finish the sweep off tomorrow, I don't know who Texas plays tomorrow, but they could legitimately be in first place. Now, I don't think 9-10 and winning 9 out of 19 games consistently is going to keep you in first, but nobody else is pulling away either. So that's the good news here. Let's dive into all of it. Start with the pitching, get into the hitting, and then some other things in the game as well. But a really, really fun game. That one felt good. Yesterday was their most complete win. Today was just a positive to continue on yesterday and get the series win. I talked about Logan Gilbert, but 6 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 walk, 6 Ks. His walk to, I think, who did he walk? Did he walk Dela Cruz or Benson? Or who did he? It doesn't matter who he ended up walking. I think he might have walked Will Benson, but that was like broke a string of 33 consecutive innings by Mariners starting pitching without a walk. Logan, absolutely phenomenal today. The splitter he's throwing now looks ridiculously good to go along with pinpoint command, good fastball. I mean, the fact that Logan Gilbert can just pick up another weapon like that and make it. I saw some like the spin rate on. It's like one of the higher spin rates on a split finger or something in baseball. That stuff I'll look into at the end of the month. I'll have a video at the end of the month, and it'll be like a 2-hour video where we really dive into all the advanced metrics that each player is producing. But whether you look at those or just look at the eye test, Logan Gilbert has been phenomenal. Like I said, I don't think there's been a starting pitcher better, striking guys out, not walking people. I mean, low pitch counts, honestly, like going deeper into the games, you could make a case for Logan to finish that 7th inning. I didn't have a problem with him coming out. He was starting to give up a little bit more hard contact. Spear hit one pretty hard. India hit one pretty hard as well. Encarnacion Strand just missed a home run earlier. But all in all, phenomenal outing from Logan Gilbert, who, in my opinion, would be your leader in the clubhouse for the Cy Young. Again, maybe there's somebody else out there doing something more, but I'm going to be biased and go with Logan Gilbert. Just a phenomenal outing from Logan, and the starting pitching really starting to come back together after a bit of a rough stretch, minus Logan. Logan's really the only one that didn't have a rough stretch. Munoz comes in the 7th inning. Let's see. Who was it? Logan walked. Was it Fraley? Did he walk? He might have walked Jake Fraley, actually. I think he walked Fraley. And then you had Dela Cruz coming up, so you had a runner at first with 2 outs. I would have been okay letting Logan stay in there, try to get one more out. But against a strong hitter in Dela Cruz from the left side, Logan was starting to give up some more hard contact in the 6th and 7th. Don't have a problem going to the bullpen there. Don't have a problem going to Munoz there. That's a big spot in that moment. One of the better hitters on the team is coming up as the tying run. You want to eliminate that threat there. Again, you can't play for innings that you don't have yet. So, if you want to say, well, you got to save Munoz in that spot for later. Now, as the game played out, maybe that would have been better. I don't know. But you got to play for the moments you have. Hopefully Munoz gets through that and, gets out of that. And then you can add on some runs, and then you have less stressful 8th, 9th inning to finish it off. That's usually the goal. Munoz walks Dela Cruz. Fraley steals second. I kind of thought it was like an intentional walk because you had Stuart Fairchild, former Mariner for like 3 games on deck. But then Mariner killer Nick Martini pinch hits for Fairchild. Tough matchup. Martini's a good hitter, can hit right-handed pitching really well. He lines a base hit off Munoz into center field, and that's when Julio makes the throw to throw out Ellie Dela Cruz going to third. I mean, Dela Cruz, one of the fastest guys in the league, and Julio was just a dart and kind of had to throw it off balance, and still a beautiful throw. Dan Wilson mentioned on the broadcast, and he's right, a great tag by Josh Rojas there as well to get De La Cruz. And then Fraley let up a little bit. I don't think he stopped as much as some people were letting on, but Fraley coming home kind of lets up a little bit. Now, he was getting the hands up from whoever was on deck there was telling him this. So he's probably thinking, hey, I've got the easy run here. And I hate to be like the old curmudgeon, get off my lawn guy, but that's why you always run hard, right? That's why you run it through 100%. I don't think Fraley stopped, but he definitely let up a little bit. Fraley also had a base running error, not error, but kind of weird play in the second inning on a strike him out, throw him out double play. Cal threw out Fraley, and Fraley didn't slide or anything, just kind of let up. Maybe thought it was ball four, and he was free to go to second base because on a 3-2 pitch, Logan got the strikeout. They threw out Fraley. So you can take the player out of the Mariners, but you can't take the Mariner out of the player. So my family members, people pointed out with the blonde beard, Jake Fraley, who I love me some Jake Fraley, helped the Mariners out a little bit tonight with some base running stuff there. And just huge for the Mariners to get out of that seventh inning. Munoz pitches the eighth, strikes out the side. That looked much more like Andres Munoz there in the eighth inning. The seventh walks De La Cruz, gives up the hit to Martini. And I was going to kind of go, man, but where is Munoz? I mean, he's still good, but like, where is 2022 Munoz? Then he strikes out the side in the eighth inning and looks phenomenal. Going to ninth, Ryan Stanek comes in to get the save, walks Will Benson to lead off the ninth. Then he gets Encarnacion Strand to pop out to center. Spencer Steer, I thought off the bat, hit a hanging splitter out of the park. Then, you could see Clase getting underneath it. It was clearly not out, but it was a bit of a hanging splitter. Clase makes the catch, 2 down. Then you get our friend Jake Fraley coming up, and Fraley hits a little bouncer to Ty France that he bobbles. Stanek was probably a little late getting over to first. And it looked Stanek, Ty flips it to Stanek. Stanek dives. Almost looks like he did get Fraley. Like you could kind of see his pants move a little bit, but there was no evidence of a tag. It was one of those calls. Had they called him out, I don't think it would have been overturned, but I don't think there's any evidence to overturn the safe call either. So I thought it was fair. Stanek then walks De La Cruz, which, kind of like I don't have a huge problem with that. I mean, it's not good. It puts the go-ahead run on base, but De La Cruz scares me there. Scott goes to Taylor Saucedo with Nick Martini due up. The Reds pinch hit Tyler Stevenson, and Taylor Saucedo collects the save as he gets Stevenson to fly out to end the game. Usually I don't do like a play-by-play recap, but I feel like that game absolutely needed it. Munoz was great, especially in the eighth inning. Didn't look great in the seventh, but looked great in the eighth. Logan was obviously fantastic. Stanek, 2/3 of an inning with 2 walks and no strikeouts isn't great, and he had Benson 0-2. So frustrating that he couldn't put him away. His splitter was not biting very well. The fastball was electric, but again, major leagues, you can throw 99, but if you can't, locate other pitches, guys are going to sit on it, and major league hitters are going to make contact. Obviously a little unlucky. Fraley hit a little bouncer that was, like I said, probably an exit velo of 2 that Ty bobbled. So a little bit of bad luck there, but probably lucky that the Spencer Steer hanging splitter hung in the ballpark. Listen, Ryan Stanek's done a nice job. He has gotten outs, and it does not have to be pretty. I don't really care what Stanek's outings look like. Once Brash and Santos come back, Stanek's kind of your 4th or 5th guy in the bullpen. I know he's getting a lot of save opportunities now. That's because they're using Munoz against what they feel is the middle power of the order and then going to Stanek. Once Brash and Santos are back, you're going to see more of that being, Munoz in spots, Brash in spots, Santos in spots. I don't think Stanek's going away, but I think he'll be more of like a 6th, 5th inning type reliever, or a guy you bring in when your team's down by a run or 2 to preserve that deficit and hopefully get the bats back in there. So not a great outing from Stanek, but got a couple outs, and listen, any game this team can close out with their bullpen. I talked about it on Sunday, right, with Brash and Santos. I kind of pointed out that I can't use them them coming back as a reason for this team improving when they were 6-10, because it wasn't like they were losing games like tonight. Like, let's say they lost tonight. Tonight would have been a game, like, let's say Stevenson lines one in the gap and the Reds win 4-3. Would have been a game I absolutely could say, yeah, you're probably winning this game with Brash and Santos. So any game the Mariners can win like this, where they're not missing those guys, is a huge, huge plus, right? Because you don't want those losses piling up, and you don't want that to be an issue missing those guys. Obviously, you want them back. They're great relievers and they're going to help because eventually I just don't think you have the horses right now to finish it through. Maybe you've got the horses for a month or two, but you're going to need Brash and Santos at some point at the back end of the bullpen. At least one of those guys back. So every game this team can win without them is a blessing, especially a close game like this. So congrats to Saucedo for getting the save. I know again, repeating myself here, but when you do videos every day, it's going to happen. Did not think Sauce looked great the first week of the season, but ever since then, he has looked dialed in. I thought that was the right call to go to him. I think Sauce versus Stevenson is a better matchup than Stanek, who had already thrown 27 pitches, or Trent Thornton, who I like, but as a home run, can give up some home runs against Nick Martini. I think Sauce versus Stevenson was probably the better matchup there. And, even if you do get a base hit there, you've at least forced the Reds to take a player out of the game. So nice job by Sauce and the Mariners for holding on. Let's go to the offense. This video is already going pretty long. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but a lot to talk about. I thought the Mariners had some really good at-bats against Hunter Green. What you saw from Hunter Green is kind of what the Reds have gotten from him. Electric stuff, but throwing a ton of pitches, only able to go 4 innings. He goes 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Mariners did strike out 15 times. You obviously love to put the ball in play more, but I think some of that was just they worked the count pretty deep against Hunter Green, got his pitch count up to about 100 through 4 innings, and were able to chase him. That's where you see that hitting philosophy working for the Mariners. We've seen it the last couple days. The first inning, they kind of wore out Frankie Montas. Jorge Polanco gets the big home run. Mitch Haniger gets in the third. Now, tonight, they didn't quite get they got a couple big hits, like I said, Clase, Haniger, but they didn't get that like double in the gap to really open it up. But I thought some really, really good at-bats. And you're going to strike out against Hunter Green. This is not the game where I'm going to point to their strikeout numbers as an issue. JP Crawford was 2 for 5. Good to see JP with a couple hits. Really want to get JP going. Not much else to say there. He's certainly better than he's been so far, but playing better, still getting on base a couple times. Again, not a lot of slugging coming into that, but still working the count. Good to see a couple hits. Yeah, I think both of them were kind of bloop hits, but beggars can't be choosers right now. Julio was 2 for 5. Kind of same thing for Julio. Like, good to see a couple hits, and Julio was amazing in the field today. Probably the MVP of the game, maybe Logan Gilbert and then Julio. I still want to see some slugging from Julio. Listen, if he's going to reach base, 40% of the time, did it yesterday. OBP was 400. The game reached base twice, same today. Like, that's good. If Julio wants to run a 400 OBP, totally fine with me. But it would be very nice to see him put a couple balls in the gap. Hit one out of the ballpark here. Still with just one extra base hit. One of the base hits today was line drive, 100 on the exit velo. Good to see. Starting to hit the ball a little better. Still getting pounded inside tremendously. And either, this is where I'm not a hitting coach. Maybe some of you guys have more knowledge, have coached or played baseball more than me. You got to make an adjustment there. Got to spit on some of those, whichever one it is. But Julio is great in the field. Did have 2 hits, so I'm not taking that away. That's good. I want to see some slugging from Julio. But if you're not going to put him in the gap, at least get on base a couple times. Jorge Polanco is 0 for 3, but had 2 walks. Mitch Haniger, 2 for 4, had the big hit in the 6th inning, made that 2-1 lead, 3-1, and you saw the way the game went. That margin of error was very thin. So Mitch Haniger coming in clutch again and driving in the run. Can't say enough about how great Mitch Haniger has been having him back. If he can stay healthy, looking like a steal to get Mitch Haniger back in this lineup. Cal was 0 for 2, did walk twice as well. Mitch Garver was 0 for 2, had a walk and a hit by pitch, and his walk in the 5th inning gave the Mariners the 2-1 lead, which technically was enough to get the win. Garver also had that bat, I think, in the 7th, where he drove a ball out to right field. Probably one of the better at bats, or at least not at bats, but he's had a couple line drives. But in terms of getting some lift on the ball, getting it out to right field, was probably the most encouraging thing I've seen from Garver. Again, with all these guys, it's just the walks are coming. They're getting some base hits. I want to see a little more slugging from them. So Garver does get on base twice, has a big RBI. I was encouraged by that last at bat, finally seeing him drive a ball a little bit. Luke Raley was 0 for 3, struck out 3 times. He had a rough at bat against Watson. I think with the bases loaded in the 6th inning, It was when it was 3-1. So a little bit of a rough game for Luke Raley. Ty France pinched hit for him, drew a walk. Good to see. Jonathan Clase, 1 for 4 with an RBI double. That came in the 4th inning, and it scored Mitch Garver. Nice job by Mitch Garver scoring on that. Obviously, with 2 outs, he's off no matter what, but still good to see him get around the bases. Was probably going to be out, but Luke Maley, the catcher, couldn't hold on to the ball. Kind of funny because the ump had called him out, but Josh Rojas is sitting there going, no, he dropped it. He's safe. Ump did a good job. Looked down, got some help, was safe. Clase looks the part. I've been really impressed with Jonathan Clase so far. I know he's played 2 games. His OPS is 625. There is swing and miss in his game. He is going to strike out. But you can strike out and be a good baseball player. Like, I'd prefer ball be put in play. But, even look at the Mariners as a whole last year. Led the league in strikeouts. They were still 9th in WRC+. Like, it was not a bad offense. It can be very frustrating because strikeouts, when you've got the bases loaded, they don't score runs, obviously. So it can be frustrating, but it doesn't mean you can't succeed. And good to see Clase really hit a nice line drive there into the gap. First extra base hit. Looks like someone that can stick. Perfect player? No, not by any means. But, someone I think can find a spot in this roster and definitely contribute this year. I've been impressed. I was a little skeptical with Clase coming up. I thought it was maybe a little early, but what's a couple months? What's the difference? You know what I mean? What's really going to change in a month or two? So been impressed with Clase so far. And again, I'll point it out. I mentioned it yesterday. Now Mitch Haniger was in right today, but when you've got Clase, Julio, and Luke Raley out there, your outfield defense is shot up tremendously. And I like Dom Canzone. I love Mitch Haniger, but Canzone, Julio, Haniger, outside of Julio, not a great defensive outfielder. Now, Mitch Haniger is like a very fundamentally sound player. And I don't know. I haven't looked at any defensive metrics yet this year. Again, 18 games, not looking at that stuff too much yet. But I imagine Haniger's not the fastest guy out there. So really nice to see it. And on games where now, luckily for the Mariners, Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, all established and good enough that you could run out maybe a subpar defense and sacrifice it for some offense and be okay. But like when Emerson Hancock's going, Bryce Miller's look great, but still a little ways to go before we're putting Miller in the Kirby, Gilbert, Castillo category. Maybe run those guys out there for those guys and improve the defense a little bit. Josh Rojas, 1 for 3, a hit and a walk. Also stung a ball that I thought was going to get out for a second. Dave Sims said probably in July that does go out. Rojas has been really solid. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, Josh Rojas has been good. And I think his defense has been fine. Do I think he's as good a defensive player as Gino? Of course not. But I don't think he's awful there either. So that's all I've got. Mariners get the win. They win the series. Chance to get a sweep tomorrow. Inch back to 500. Then you go to Colorado to play, let's just face it, a bad baseball team in the Rockies. Every team gets their wins. That Mariners are not guaranteed to go in there and win a series or sweep. Even the worst teams are going to win 55 to 60 ball games. But you're set up pretty nicely here if you're the Seattle Mariners to get things going. So hopefully Bryce Miller can be on his game tomorrow. Abbott, the lefty, is on the mound for the Reds, so we'll probably see Luis Urias in there. Since the Mariners have won the series, I'd probably give Cal the day off, let Zavala catch. Maybe he's due. Maybe he can get a hit or something. But we'll see. Mariners going for the sweep tomorrow. Really nice win. Mariners won 4-6. They're starting to play better baseball. The team is starting to come around a little bit, hopefully pulling out of the funk. And good to see it happening in April. And a nice series win against a good Cincinnati Reds team. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Real quick, I do want to do something. I want to give a shout out to my channel members. If you guys think about becoming a channel member. There's going to be members only live streams twice a month. Once a month, we'll have a contest giveaway. So think about becoming a channel member. Shout out to all my members. Mark Squire, who just joined. Thank you, Mark. Y2KHA, appreciate you, my friend. DW, who was in the stream with us last week. Mariners Facts, who also was in the stream. Trevor Hiddle, contest winner. Thank you, Trevor. William Cook, one of the OGs. He has been a channel member, I think, longer than anybody. Appreciate you, my friend. Mr. Moses, another guy that's been around since the beginning. And, of course, the one and only Gunny Studios. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. Also, don't be afraid to use that SeatGeek code. Go to SeatGeek website, or download the app. Use promo code JSTrident for $20 off your next purchase. Maybe now you are going to T-Mobile that the Mariners are playing a little better. Mariners win. Have a great night, everybody, and go Mariners. Peace.